You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
With the 114th selection in the 2017 Major League Baseball first-year player draft, the Milwaukee Brewers selected left-handed pitcher Brendan Murphy from Mundelein High School in Illinois. And with that, episode number 114 of the Show Before the Show podcast arrives to you. I would like to take credit for that, but Sam kind of inspired it with the title of the email in which he gave me the show rundown today. Said, and with the 114th pick in the draft to remind me that it was episode 114. But then I figured I'd give pick 114 a little bit of airtime. So congratulations, Brendan Murphy.
Yeah, we got to Brendan Murphy.
Enjoy your moment of fame.
Yeah, we got to Brendan Murphy before we got to Royce Lewis
and
Mackenzie Gore.
That'll be the first time that Brendan Murphy has been given his due above those guys. Maybe the first of many times. We don't know. Maybe Brendan Murphy, 4th round pick. That's a good spot.
It's definitely a name that I'm going to remember going forward. Just like when we interview him in 2 years on this podcast.
Oh yeah. We talked about you.
Yeah.
So with that, hey, welcome in everybody. It is the 114th episode of the Show Before the Show podcast from MLB.com. I'm Tyler Mon. He is Sam Dykstra. We're going to talk a whole lot of Major League Baseball first-year player draft in this episode, which we are recording on the third and final day of the 2017 draft, June 14th. Wrapping things up with rounds 11 through 40 today. A lot of guys picked, a lot of guys going off the board. I think as we're recording this, they are in round 36 or 37, so things are getting pretty close to coming down to the end. We'll be talking a lot of drafts here coming up momentarily. Before we get into it, though, thanks for tuning into the Show Before the Show podcast. Head on to iTunes, head on to wherever you grab your podcast, and give us a rating and a review and a subscription. And you can find all of our past episodes at MILB.com/podcast. You can also find us through some various apps on the Android side as well. Stitcher app has got us. Somebody else tweeted at me the other day that another podcast app has us, but of course I forgot the name of what that podcast app is. So if you got the Stitcher app, you're all set. And wherever you're tuned into us now, obviously you found us. So thanks for being here. And let's get started with 3 strikes for episode 114. The Major League Baseball first-year player draft, by the time you hear this, will be in the books. So some prizes early on, especially at the very top of the draft. One big surprise that we'll talk about. But really, I think for the most part, especially through that first round, not a lot of reaches, not a lot of guys that you were shocked to see fall. It seems like things played out mostly as we expected them to. But, Sam, you were there on Monday night in Secaucus, New Jersey at MLB Network for the opening, the first 2 rounds of the draft on Monday night. And you got to hear Commissioner Rob Manfred call the name of the 1-1 pick, which was shortstop Royce Lewis out of Junipero Serra Catholic High School in San Juan Capistrano, California. And that was somewhat of a surprise. I think that there were certainly indications that maybe the Twins were leaning that way, but it really seemed like it was going to come down to a couple of other names who were not in the mix at the end. There's a lot of discussion always around picks like that you're not necessarily signing a guy or drafting a guy just because of the money you're going to give him, because of maybe what it impacts for the money you have available for other guys later on in the draft. But give me your reaction to that top pick and how the first round shook down when you were there on Monday.
Yeah, with that pick, when people were discussing 1-1 going into the draft, Royce Lewis, let's get one thing straight, was on the list. I mean, he is a talent that's good enough to go, in those first 5 picks. This is not a reach by any means. He is a 70 grade runner according to MLB.com, which makes him one of the fastest runners in the minors on day one. Whenever he first puts on a Twins uniform. He can either play shortstop or center field. Having that type of up-the-middle prospect is very valuable. Where his future position will be might be determined by his arm, might be determined by other situational factors inside the Twins organization. We'll have to see how those things shake out. His bat could be above average. Not a lot of power there yet, but he's coming out of high school. Lots to like with this guy. So to say that he's a big surprise at 1-1 isn't entirely accurate, but like Tyler said, there could be some signability things here. The rumor going into the week I would say, was that they were going to go with Kyle Wright out of Vanderbilt at that spot. As Monday progressed, it seemed like he had slipped out of that conversation. Then it was Brendan McKay, who was both a first baseman and a left-handed pitcher out of the University of Louisville. We talked about him last week. A duality option at that first pick. Whether he's going to be a left-handed pitcher or a first baseman is going to be up to the organization that takes him. There was a report, and I wish I could cite exactly who had it, but that McKay had been offered. The Twins went to him and said, "Would you sign at this level?" And he said no. And at that point, they moved on to Lewis, who I'm sure, in the coming weeks, we'll hear about how much he signs for. It'll probably be a little under slot, but that is the first overall pick, so slot is incredibly high there. And they'll be able to use those savings on their draft picks, in the other 10 or the other 9 rounds of the draft, in which they have to worry about their bonus pool. So signability probably an issue here, but let's not take anything away from Royce Lewis. He is an exciting prospect. If he adds some power, becomes a little bit better offensively, and he's coming out of high school, he has every opportunity to do that. He could be, a very enticing prospect for that Twins system that doesn't necessarily have the top talent. Their top prospect right now is Nick Gordon. Wouldn't worry about that yet. It's going to be years before Royce Lewis and Nick Gordon cross paths, if that ever happens. And if it does, the Twins would love to have that problem where they're trying to figure out who fits what position. But it's going to be a while yet before we hear about that. So Lewis going there, a little bit of a surprise just because I didn't think he's necessarily as good a prospect as Hunter Green or McKay or Kyle Wright. So in the names that were being mentioned there, I think he was out of that kind of top tier with those other guys, but so many other factors go into it. To hear his name there didn't necessarily blow me back as maybe it could have. Hunter Green going number 2 to the Reds. Everything you were reading going into Monday night's draft was that he was not going to drop lower than that. If you've heard about Hunter Green, about the fact that his fastball can touch triple digits. He kept talking all night that he wants to play both positions. He seems to think, the Reds got 2 players for 1 in taking him. Obviously, the Reds agree by taking him with that spot. How much of shortstop he's going to play in the minors, we'll have to wait and see. They seem to allow him to be able to do that all the way up through instructs. Maybe they'll try to sit him down, figure something out this offseason, but at least to begin, he'll do both. Try to show the Reds what they have, but when you have a guy who's throwing triple digits, it's difficult for me to predict that he's going to be a position player solely going forward. Mackenzie Gore going 3 to the Padres had some good velocity this year, throwing in the mid-90s out of his high school in North Carolina. Has a really good curveball. That's your basic starter set for a top high school left-handed pitcher. He's also got a slider and a changeup that have earned pretty good grades, and his control is really good. If you ever get a chance to watch Mackenzie Gore, try to do it without runners on base. He's got a leg kick that is just wicked. It's super pronounced, but it helps him with that control. It's going to be fun to see that hopefully stay in the minors. It seems to be working for him so far. And then McKay falls number 4 to the Rays. The reason I like that pick, not only because I think Brendan McKay is really talented, whether he is a pitcher or a first baseman, is that because he's with the Rays, we get to play this experiment for a little while longer. If he went to a National League team, we would have to try to predict he's probably going to have to pick one or the other. With McKay, they'll allow him to pitch, they'll allow him to hit, DH on his days off, and that can continue. I mean, theoretically, he could make it the major leagues as a left-handed pitcher and a DH. That would be kind of game-changing. We haven't seen that stateside at that high a level, I think, ever. So it's fun that we get to continue that thought experiment, and that'll certainly be a storyline going forward in the minors. Kyle Wright goes number 5 to the Braves. I'll kind of cut it off here, but I think that's where the upper tier kind of ends. Like I said earlier, Wright was in that conversation as an 1-1 pick. He's a 21-year-old right-hander. He has a plus fastball. His curveball, slider, changeup all earned above average grades, 121 strikeouts, only 31 walks, and 103 in third innings this year at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt obviously has that conveyor belt of pitching in recent years, dating all the way back to David Price, and then Pedro Alvarez, Dansby Swanson also went top 5 out of that program. Obviously not pitchers, but this is a quality program. What I find really interesting about Wright going to the Braves is that's another pitcher to add to that mix. He was the best player available at that position, at that number 5 spot. So I don't knock them for that. And you want a starting rotation that is solid 1 through 5. So the only way you do that is acquire as many arms as you can. But this is now the list of guys who are ranked prospects right now in the Brave system that have been taken in the first round in recent years. Colby Allard, Mike Soroka, Sean Newcomb, Max Fried, Ian Anderson, Touki Toussaint, and Lucas Sims. And now we add Kyle Wright to that mix. So they're just trying, again, we've talked before about how they're trying to get as much talent, and then you're throwing it at the dartboard and seeing what sticks and going from there. Wright has as good an opportunity as any of those guys, maybe even better. He's in that mix probably with Allard and Soroka, of being pitchers who could lead a rotation someday, and not just be a 3 or 4 or 5 option. His stuff is good enough, and he's got a deep enough mix to be a top of the rotation guy. And when you have an opportunity to take somebody like that when they fall into your lap, like Wright did at number 5, you take it. So top 5's really interesting. Just going beyond that, 2 picks that I really, really liked was Jaron Kendall going to the Dodgers at number 23. Kendall has lots of speed, has some pretty good pop, hit 15 home runs again for Vanderbilt this year, has above average arm. He's going to play really well in center field, going to stick there. The big question mark is that, can he hit the ball enough? He struck out 25.1% of his plate appearances this year with Vanderbilt. If that happens in the minors, I think that's okay. You can put up with that type of contact rate. But the fact that he came in college against lesser arms, he's going to see better pitches, better pitchers in the minors. That can only go up from there. Is he going to hit enough? But all the other tools are loud enough that he could have justified being a top 15 pick. I saw him at number 11 to the White Sox in a lot of mocks. The fact that he fell to the Dodgers, they must have been thrilled with. And as we know, the Dodgers are in a pretty good place now anyways. They don't need to rush somebody like Kendall, even though he is, a college bat, somebody a little bit more advanced in terms of his development, that they could rush him maybe if they needed to, but they absolutely do not. So that could allow him to get that development time he needs, allow him to work on that contact rate. So I really like that pick. Also, J.B. Bukauskas going number 15 to the Astros. If it was just based on stuff alone, I think Bukauskas is probably a top 10 pick. The Astros get him at number 15, mostly because of size. He's just 6 foot. But his fastball is considered a plus, so that's like a 70 grade on the 2080 scale. He's got a really, really good slider. He struck out 116 batters, 92 and 2/3 innings this year at UNC. So there's not much in terms of projectability, but based on pure stuff, based on what you can see, and the way he has performed, it's both the eye test and the performance test. He's passed both with flying colors. Teams are just kind of scared from taking somebody who they don't see can really add much to what he's already done. But what he's already done has been fantastic, and I think he could be a quick mover in an Astro system that's done a really good job of producing talent lately. Maybe not necessarily on the arm side, other than Lance McCullers and Joe Musgrove, maybe. But Astros are unquestionably right now the best team in baseball. And the fact that they can add a prospect like Bukauskas when they did in the middle of the first round is very promising. And so like Tyler kind of said at the beginning, I don't think there was that many here were major head scratchers. Maybe the Brewers taking Keston Hiura at number 9. He's a guy who could need Tommy John surgery and could miss a year. And after that, we don't even know what his position might be, but his bat is so good that even then you could justify a top 10 pick. So overall, I think a solid draft this year. Nothing that's going to make me question things down the line. As we said last week, give this draft 5-10 years maybe even before we can really say what was X team doing with, pick number 7, et cetera, et cetera. We need to see how these guys are going to shake out. But as things stand, I think everybody did pretty well.
Sam's got a whole bunch of stuff up on the site right now at MILB.com. You can check out the story from Monday night, from the initial first-round reaction, and some more coverage, of course, from us and from MLB Pipeline as well on the top talents in the 2017 draft, where they're all headed, who all is going to sign, all that type of stuff, because that's always a question mark with some of these guys as well. But for that upper echelon group, there's some really, really fun guys to watch in that group, and it's interesting to see, you talk about some of those arms like Kyle Wright, like JB Bukauskas, guys who can come across from the collegiate level and jump in at the upper minors. I mean, maybe not at AA or AAA, but can start their careers conceivably at the Class A advanced level if that's what organizations ask them to do. For a guy like Bukauskas, the Astros, they've developed talent in every conceivable way, in every possible setting in recent years. And with a team that is primed for playoff runs this year, obviously, and over the next several years, you kind of wonder, is there maybe a track for a guy like JB Bukauskas in a relief role to jump into the major leagues the way we've seen teams do it with young arms in recent seasons? Guys like Brandon Finnegan come to mind. Brandon Finnegan pitched in a College World Series and in the Major League World Series in the same year, the former TCU Horned Frog, who was then drafted by the Kansas City Royals. That stuff has kind of come into vogue. Lots going to depend on the workload, obviously, and I'm not saying that's the Astros' plan with Bukauskas, but for guys like him, for guys like Kyle Wright and some of the other arms that were taken from the college ranks, Clark Schmidt went one pick right behind Bukauskas to the New York Yankees. The college guys can make that climb pretty quickly, and that's fun to watch because we've discussed time and time again on this podcast, teams are very excited about giving prospects a chance, and if you force the issue, if you're effective in the minor leagues and you can force your way up the ladder, you knock on the major league door quicker nowadays in baseball, and it tends to be answered quicker than what it was 10, 15 years ago. So it's pretty cool, and there's a lot of stuff up on the site right now that you can check out. Strike 2 this week. Minor league all-star games are coming up fast and furious over the next couple of weeks, and we've got a bunch of the rosters announced. Sam, what is the most intriguing roster to you? I'm going with the California League, the Class A advanced circuit.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the Carolina League just because...
Oh,
Wait.
Are you?
Oh, yes, I am.
Oh, this
is awkward now, isn't it?
This got so uncomfortable. We used to share an all-star game,
and
now we no longer do.
What happened to us?
But you're looking well. It's good to see you again. I'm sure things are going well for you. No, if you didn't know, there is no longer a California-Carolina League All-Star game. Separate now. California League will play its own. Carolina League will play its own. So that was one of the real cool crossover things in minor league baseball. It's not around for 2017. Yeah. But tell me about yours first, then we'll talk about mine.
Well, right, yeah. So, the interesting thing about splitting up these All-Star games like this, it's that the talent kind of gets diluted, right? Like if you're in a 10-team league, there's not going to be as much talent you would think in an All-Star game as much as, it is the All-Star game. It is the Midsummer Classic. It's supposed to be the best of your circuit. There's just not as many options, so you're going to get more guys who aren't necessarily great performers in an All-Star game. But why I picked the Carolina League is because even after it's split, so now it's not only just trying to fill one roster, it's trying to fill two between the North Division and the South Division. It still has 7 of MLB.com's top 100 prospects are on either the Carolina North or South Division All-Star roster.
That is really impressive.
Which is nuts. Just to go through those names, it's Eloy Jimenez, Corey Ray, Isan Diaz, Zach Collins, Franklin Perez. They'll all be on the South Division roster. On the North Division, it's Tristan McKenzie and Victor Robles. That's all. Those 7 guys, they could be in like the futures game, and none of us would shake our heads. That to have them in one game is kind of unexpected, even though they were in the same league together. The fact that they've all performed pretty well. Some of them probably wouldn't have been represented if the Carolina League All-Star game still existed, but the fact that they will all be in Salem for this year's game, which is happening on June 20th, like I said, in Salem, so that's next Tuesday when you guys are hearing this, that's just going to be fascinating. The fact that Jimenez is on that team is great. I think he's going to be starting as the South team's designated hitter, which is great because if you get a chance to watch Jimenez hit, take your opportunity when you have it. But he started the year with a bone bruise, with a bruise in his shoulder. Even after that, he's more than made up enough time. But don't worry that South outfield, even if he's not in it, is going to be really interesting with Corey Ray there. Zach Collins behind the plate, Franklin Perez potentially getting some time on the mound. And I think the league's best hitter isn't even one of those top 100 prospects this year. It's Michael Chavis, who has been not only one of the Carolina League's best hitters this year, but also one of the best hitters in all the minors. At last check, he was leading the Carolina League in all 3 Triple Crown categories, as well as slugging percentage and OPS. When this roster page went up, he had an OPS of 1.078. So not only is it just top talent, but there are guys who have really performed well in that Carolina League. You'll be able to see all of them next Tuesday in that Salem game. And I, part of me was disappointed when the California League and the Carolina League, I guess personified by me and Tyler, split up, because I thought it was going to be a diluted game.
We were so good together.
I know, yeah. I think about us often. In my darker times.
I hope you're well.
But no, it's still going to be. It's still really cool that this much talent can be impacted into one game. So that's my side of the breakup, Tyler. Why don't you just tell your stupid story?
Oh yeah, no, that's great. We got to hear you talk about yourself. Maybe that's why we broke up. The California League, really the South roster on the California League side is a bit more loaded than the North roster. The South roster is led by Rockies prospect Brendan Rodgers, the 10th overall prospect in baseball, who as of recording this today has hits now in 21 straight games. He's batting for the season .405, .424, .697. That's in 44 games. It's an 1122 OPS, and you can say, oh, yeah, but he plays in Lancaster. Sure, Lancaster's going to inflate that number a little bit. In his 22 games at Lancaster, he's batting .500. But that also means that away from Lancaster, he's still hitting .305 with a .484 slugging percentage and a .797 OPS. So he's done impressive work there as well. But that roster pretty well loaded, because it's not just Rodgers who leads things on the position player side. Josh Naylor, formerly a very highly ranked prospect, formerly a first-round pick, and now in his second organization, the first baseman with the San Diego Padres organization. He'll be one of 3 first basemen on the infield side for the Cal South Division All-Stars. He's going to be joined by a Padres teammate, Cal Quantrill, who is the second-ranked prospect in that organization, who's been a lot of fun to watch. Had him on the podcast, of course, as you will recall. But there is some really, really exciting talent on that side, on the south side. On the north side, it's a little bit of a thinner roster, but there's some still really intriguing pieces to it. A.J. Puck, the left-hander from the Stockton Ports, the Oakland Athletics organization, the former Florida ace, and last year a first-round pick in the draft as well. He'll be joined by his battery mate, Sean Murphy, the catcher for the Stockton Ports. The catchers, as Sam pointed out in his story, a loaded pair for the North Division. Aramis Garcia is the other one. Murphy is the 14th-ranked A's prospect. Garcia is the 13th-ranked Giants prospect. So there's some really good talent there. There's also some really good names on the North Division side, which I feel like we really have to point out. Gianfranco Wawo, who has been one of the best names in the minor leagues for quite some time, now of the Modesto Nuts. And Sky Bolt of the Stockton Ports. He is also a member of the roster. So maybe they don't have as many ranked prospects. They got the better names on the North Division side.
I definitely want Wawo to open up a gas station across from a Wawa. Just like one of those situations where you see like a Walgreens across the street from a CVS. I want to see a Wawa across from a Wawa.
I think it's a good point. I think it's a really good idea. Also, a friend of the podcast, Jeff Bajanaro, is a member of the coaching staff for the Cal's North Division team, which will be the staff of the host site, Visalia Rawhide. On the other side, it's the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes coaching staff, led by manager Drew Saylor. So that's 2 of the most talented coaching staffs in that league as well. Shelly Duncan is the manager of the Visalia Rawhide. You'll remember from his major league days. But Drew Saylor is a very bright, young, rising managerial talent in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. So there's some cool stuff going on over there. And we were really good together. I just want to remember our good times. The 2010 game in Myrtle Beach, very close to my heart. I want to remember those days. I don't want us to wither and die, Sam.
I still have the scrapbook. I look at it often.
Strike three this week. The Milwaukee Brewers have gone nuts with roster promotions. Lewis Brinson's to the show. Josh Hader's to the show. Brandon Woodruff is to the show. Brett Phillips is to the show. What's going on with this Milwaukee group? And how did I miss them all in Colorado Springs? What's wrong with me?
I know. That's the thing. It's almost.
I haven't made it down there for a single game.
Yeah, it's got this feeling of if you're still left in Colorado Springs, and I know like there are some good people there that are still
really
left.
Good talent still there.
Yeah, but if you're still left, you got to think like why, like
the party's all over now, and I'm still here.
Yeah, I think part of the reason they're calling up so many guys. I mean, obviously it helps that. The roster situation is there have been some openings. Ryan Braun is still on the DL with a calf injury. Travis Shaw had a child, I think, so he went on paternity leave for a couple days, and then had a family emergency that he had to go down. So Brett Phillips came up twice for him. Brandon Woodruff came up to help the team yesterday. Unfortunately, he's already on the disabled list. Didn't even get to make his debut. But still, 10-day disabled list. He's still on the team for 10 days, still cashing a major league paycheck. That matters for something. And Lewis Brinson kind of filling that hole for Braun. We're kind of at the time of the year where Super 2 concerns, if you don't know what Super 2 means, it's basically a way teams get to push back arbitration for certain players. It's not necessarily about buying another free agency year. It's just from keeping them from getting to arbitration 1 year earlier. There is no hard Super 2 deadline. It usually comes around the middle of June. So the fact that we're around that time now, the Brewers had some roster openings. They need pitching help. I think they only have 4 starters on the roster right now, even with Brandon Woodruff on the DL. It all kind of worked into a perfect storm in terms of getting these guys to the majors. But I think it's really fun. I mean, it's nice to see the Brewers, who we thought were going to be kind of a lowly team in the NL Central. The fact that they are competing, they're 34-32 right now. On its own doesn't look like a sparkling record, but they're still, 1 game up with the Chicago Cubs, 2.5 games up on the Cardinals. That division is fairly tight. They want to compete, if they have the talent, and Lord knows, we've talked about it before, they had that talent at AAA. Let's give them their chance now. That Sky Sox lineup, Woodruff was performing especially well too, as you heard us talk to him a couple of weeks ago. If these guys are ready, let them get their looks now. There's really nothing holding them back. If they want to compete, go for it. Use the internal options that you have. What happens when Ryan Braun comes back, I think is going to be interesting. Brinson's kind of filling that hole. They've done a couple different things in terms of left field. They've tried Eric Thames out there. That I've watched him. He doesn't really look like a positive fit. They still have Keon Broxton playing center. So, is Lewis Brinson, his natural position is center? Is he going to be able to knock Broxton off? Broxton hasn't been necessarily the performer this year that Milwaukee would have hoped for. Domingo Santana is pretty well set up in right. So what happens when Braun comes back? We can figure that out at a later date. But it just seems they've got the line of guys that we said were talented and we're going to get to the majors eventually, all got there pretty quick. And that's exciting to see guys graduate to the majors to get their chance to see good performance and good skills rewarded in the way that they are being rewarded in that Milwaukee system is really interesting. So good for those guys, and looking forward to seeing if the Brewers can get even better than they have been over these first couple months of the season.
Yeah, this is ahead of schedule for the Brewers, and it's pretty cool for Brewers fans who they're only 2 games over 500. They're not blowing the world out of the water right now, but they're in first place, and they have played well regardless of, the projections that 2017 probably wasn't going to be that great of a season for Milwaukee. Will they stay there all year? The Cubs are the more talented team. They're probably going to take that division. But if you're a Brewers fan, the fact that you're doing this right now and this wave of talent is starting to arrive, which makes 2018 and 2019 that much more promising. 2017 is gravy right now. Ride this as long as you can. That's a team that is fun to watch because of things that aren't even just the prospects. Eric Thames has been the most ridiculously exciting story of the season for Milwaukee, and now that these guys are all getting there, Brett Phillips, Lewis Brinson, Josh Hader, Brandon Woodruff, all this talent, Ryan Cordell is still AAA Colorado Springs, all these guys who are really fun to watch, they get there, they get that experience this year. Next couple of years start to look even brighter for Milwaukee. So that is strike 3 for this week's edition of the Show Before the Show. Sam, tell us about our interview for this 114th episode. It's not pick number 114, but tell us about it anyway.
Yeah, so at this year's draft, I got a chance to well, before this year's draft, the way it works, they have the 4 guys who were there. So Hunter Green, Jo Adell, Trevor Rogers, and Bubba Thompson. They get to show up. They get to be in the draft room. This isn't like the NFL draft where most of the first round picks are there. Everybody gets invitations. Some of them are still playing college. So it's usually not college guys who show up, usually high school guys. Sometimes these guys would rather be at home having their own parties. That's perfectly fine. But those who do get to show up, they get a grand tour of New York City. I know they went to Citi Field ahead of time. And they also have what's called a media luncheon at the commissioner's office. So I was able to attend that. I wrote a tool shed this week on Bubba Thompson, his decision to go solely baseball instead of pursuing a potential college career at football where he was getting offers in the SEC. And I also talked to this week's guest, Jo Adell, who ended up going number 10 to the Angels. If you know anything about the Angels system, you know it's not a great one right now. They needed to make kind of an exciting pick, and I think they did here with Adell. He's coming out of Kentucky. He was a commitment to Louisville. Another plus run guy. He's got lots of speed. Makes you think that he's probably going to stick in center field at the next level. He's got a really good arm that's going to work out there as well. He had been a pitcher in the past. Somebody who could throw in the 90s with ease, but he said that's not his thing. He decided to go full bore in terms of being a hitter. He shows some pretty good power. He's only 18, just turned 18 in April, so even he's kind of young for this draft class. And so he's going to be an exciting piece in this Angels system that really needs these. I mean, he is going to be kind of he's high risk, but he's also very high reward. But to kind of set this up as I was doing, I talked to him at the media luncheon. He did not know yet that he was going to be taken by the Angels. You won't hear us talk about the Angels. You won't hear us talk about, what his signing fee is because he didn't know when he was going to go. But we did get into some of the topics and some of his preparation for the 2017 draft. So with that, here is the number 10 pick in this year's 2017 draft, Jo Adell.
Going. Just what has this draft experience been like for you, working through the spring, working up to this moment that you get the invitation to be here, which means something. They expect you to go high. What has this whole experience been like?
It's definitely a dream come true. Like my dad and my mom always say, whatever you want to do, put a goal out in front and go and get it. And this is obviously, the halfway point of the goal. To be here and be a part of the draft this year and hopefully get to the big leagues. And it's just another milestone that I've accomplished, and I'm just proud to be here and experience it with my family.
Mm-hmm. And at what point this season, or even coming into the year, did you realize first round could be a possibility?
Towards the middle of the season, I was playing really well, felt really comfortable, and it didn't really matter who was in the stands to me. I was just out playing ball and was playing really well, and I've always had the confidence in myself that if this is the path I want to take, then that I'll work my way to be able to have that opportunity. And now to be here, it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, and I know you've gone through the showcase circuit before. What is that experience like? I mean, that's just so different to get chosen for that, knowing that you're kind of putting on all your tools on display like that. What is that like?
It's awesome. I think the guys that I've met has been the most exciting part for me is just to meet everybody and to play with those guys. Everybody across the whole circuit this year has been great, and and just go out and grind and show that you're the best of the best. And I think that was a bunch of fun for me to be able to put myself out there and show what I can do compared to everybody else. And that's what I live for, and that's what I love to do. So.
Yeah, you won a derby on the area code games, I think.
Area code games.
Yeah, what was your approach going into that? Because those derbies are just completely different animals.
No, I had a couple of things. Self-pride a little bit, and it was also for my team. My team won the New Balances.
Yeah.
If I won, so I.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
so
there you go.
I had a little pressure on me, and they were like, "Man, we really want these all-white cleats, Joe. Like, you got to go out and do your thing." And me and Clay Overcash, which was my coach, and BP thrower, me and him got in a rhythm, and it was great, and just a bunch of fun just to see my team excited for me, and more so for the shoes, I guess.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, how much were you feeding off them, and just the atmosphere of the day going into that?
It was awesome, man. It was just awesome. The way they set it up, everybody was excited. You had everybody behind you yelling and screaming. Just an awesome event, and a bunch of fun, and the weather was great too.
Mm-hmm. How much did you get out of those shoes? Like, how long did you wear them for?
Oh yeah, I'm very skeptical when I put them on. My high school field's turf, so on games,
right,
that's the move for sure.
Yeah.
That was the move.
Nice. And even just going further back, when did you realize you were good enough to be on even that showcase circuit? Getting chosen at a state like yours, like Kentucky, and then being put on a national circuit like that. When did that happen?
When I was about 15 years old, I was still more of a two-way player, so I pitched and hit. And I think that I had 1 year of travel ball out of state under my belt. So my first year of out of state travel ball was when I was 14 years old. And I got the rhythm of just being away from home and just going and grinding it out and getting after it. And then the following year, my 15U, 16U season, I was playing with the Canes, which was a national team for me. And I had the confidence. The confidence just built from there. I felt comfortable every time I went out and played, and I just loved grinding it out. And like I said earlier, playing against the best of the best, and I ended up putting myself at the top. So that's a good feeling for me, and it's a good place to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even when you were on that state team, how much of a measuring stick were you using yourself, or were you just playing your game, or were you kind of seeing how much better you are than the competition?
The state team,
or that first team you said,
the Canes. Yeah. I was definitely looking around, trying to see, what was what, who was who. The big thing is I'm a different player than everybody else on the team, and I can only do what I can do. And the Canes mentality is we play together, we play as one, and we try to win a championship. And I knew that was the goal, so whatever I had to do to help win, I did it. It wasn't really a self-comparison, but I recognized that I was a big tribute to the success that we had as a team, and I really appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about being a two-way player. When did you decide to kind of focus your efforts on being a position player?
About a year and a half ago, I played with the Canes, the start of the 16U season. Halfway through, I was stroking the ball, just hitting the ball really well, and Evo Should always has a bunch of pitchers, a bunch of guys throwing. So I was like, hey, I love to hit, and I really want to focus on this. I love playing outfield, love playing center field. So I focused from that point on just outfield, just center field, and swinging the bat.
So is it more just individual skills plus the roster situation, or was there something just about the outfield that you gravitate towards, you feel like?
It was a little bit of mix of both. I could always get on the mound and throw if I needed to, but I really just loved, floating around in center field and being a part of the game every day. Because I love to play every day. I played 145 games last year, including high school and summer. So I really enjoyed that part of it. And it was a little bit of my decision and coach's decision, I guess, is, hey, we'll let you do this. This is your strength, and we're going to let you roll with it.
And in this year's draft, there's so much talk about two-way players. Did you ever have a scout or ever have a team in this process come up to you and talk about maybe going back on the mound and doing both or not? Do you think that's
absolutely. I think that I'm going to hit as long as I can. And if I resort back to the mound or if I have to, then definitely going to do that because I love the game of baseball. But for me, I want to be able to do what I would like to do and what I can do at a high level, and that's swing the bat and play center field. So I'm going to do that as long as I can, and we'll see what happens from there.
Mm-hmm. And what are you kind of preparing for full minor league season? Coming to every day, it's different than high school. Coming every day, playing baseball every day. What are you kind of preparing for that experience once you do sign and get picked and all that?
For me, just maintaining strength and being being ready to go every day. Figuring out a way to wake up and just be ready to go and get after it. And I've done a good job over the past couple of years. I think that the mix between playing high school ball and summer ball, summer travel ball, and all the circuit stuff, it's kind of a preparation in itself, I would say. Just because you're playing all the time, you're playing during the week all the time, just about every day, and you learn how to get yourself ready to go and get yourself in the mode to work hard and play every day, and that's exactly what minor league baseball is.
Well, talking a lot of amateur baseball and the initial days of professional baseball careers for guys who are jumping into the minor leagues, and we switch from that to one of the seasoned veterans at MILB.com, our go-to guy. It's Benjamin Hill. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Tyler. And Tyler, you didn't say hello to me off the air, and this is the first time I've even addressed you today, and I feel like I'm still warming up here.
I wanted to see how that would affect our chemistry, because ordinarily I feel like, what if we're just wasting gold outside of recording time? Then we get into recording time, then we're like down a step. Maybe we'll just fly through. Maybe this will be the best interview yet. Although, judging by the way I just stumbled over all that, probably not.
No, that was good. Good strategy. I support your approach. And hi, Sam. It's nice to see you, too.
Yeah, and hi, Sam.
I feel like a lot of stuff we normally do, we'll say, like, yeah, we just ended up talking about this off air. So now let's just get it all out there now.
Tyler ignored me. Did not say a thing off air.
Well, now we're airing our dirty laundry in front of the podcast crowd. I like it.
We should bring up what happened over the weekend, actually.
Right,
yeah,
Tyler, are you
we
jealous?
Probably should do that.
Are you jealous? Sam and I hung out, had a great time.
I heard.
At the Belmont Stakes, and Tyler was not there, and people kept coming up to us like, "Hey, it's Ben Hill and Sam Dykstra from the Show Before the Show podcast. Where's Tyler Maughan?" Actually, no, you guys don't need him anyway. It was. I'm sorry, man, but people kept telling us that.
I'll be honest. If I had to hang out with two dudes who were dressed like both of you at the Belmont, I probably would be okay with not having to.
Well, Sam and I took very different sartorial approaches.
Just kidding. Sam looked like a late 19th century grifter of some kind who was traveling around the West, and Ben had a Montgomery Biscuits T-shirt and then an MILB umpire's hat on. So Ben went full on casual, and Sam went very formal, and you met in the middle with some dude who's replacing me apparently.
Yeah, he photobombed, but then we just realized we had a good chemistry, and you'll be hearing from him next week in place of Tyler Maughan on the Show Before the Show podcast.
He literally just jumped in the picture. Like there were the two of us that we thought was going to be nice, and we were going to send it to you, Tyler, just saying like missing you or something like that. And then this guy just jumps in and was just like, no, I'm part of the picture now.
Why are we waiting an extra week before he replaces me?
He had to get his green card. But
I was going to say he had to get like his podcasting license.
Yeah, and his podcasting license.
Yeah, to do that.
Just some
got to go through a lot of
to jump through.
A lot of hours of training before you can host a podcast like this. Let me
tell
you.
Get his permit and then his license.
Yeah.
Well, hey, with that, let's get started on this week's edition of our conversation with Benjamin Hill. And there is a new entrant onto the minor league team turned foodstuff market this week, which is in Promo Watch. One that I'm a big fan of, but I also have some questions about. It's the Albuquerque Isotopes, who will turn themselves into the Albuquerque Green Chile Cheeseburgers on Friday, which they'll be taking on the Fresno Grizzlies, who will compete as the Fresno Tacos in that game. Not often that we see alternates or we see throwbacks or we see stuff like that for the road team, but I feel like we've seen that a lot this year, but neither here nor there. The Green Chile Cheeseburgers, the Topes came out with this over the offseason. It is the latest one of a team going with a local and well-renowned food item, following in the footsteps of obviously the tacos, the cheesesteaks for Lehigh Valley. Ben, give us the lowdown on the Green Chile Cheeseburgers.
Right. Well, it's the latest in the trend, the regional food rebranding for one night. It's taking place this Friday, June 16th. And, I was interested by this one because I've been to New Mexico, and I'm aware of the general green chili love, roasted green chilies and often kind of made into I don't know if you call it a paste, but, chopped and spreadable like a condiment. But I didn't know specifically green chili cheeseburgers were such a big thing in the region. And they, didn't just do Albuquerque green chilies. They're the green chili cheeseburgers. And so really emphasizing the cheeseburger aspect of as well. It's a basic cheeseburger. but with green chilies on top. And it's huge in not just Albuquerque, but all of New Mexico. I was talking to John Traub, the team's general manager, and he told me people are really passionate about it, where to get the best one. The same way when you talk to someone from Philadelphia and they have their cheesesteak opinions, in Albuquerque and in New Mexico at large, people have their green chili cheeseburger opinions. You can Google it. The state of New Mexico, I guess their tourism board or what have you, has assembled a green chili cheeseburger trail with dozens of places throughout the state that you can go to and get green chili cheeseburgers. So that's what Albuquerque's doing, the latest in the trend, the green chili cheeseburgers. And, of course, they'll have green chili cheeseburgers at the ballpark and incorporate that into the night's themes. And, hey, teams like to be creative. They like to have fun, but they also like to make money. And no doubt that this has been a boon to the Isotopes revenue this season. Talking to John Traub again, the GM, he said that they have sold a ton of green chili hats and shirts, and having trouble keeping the stuff in stock. And so who knows what portion of their merchandise revenue will just be green chili cheeseburger related, but no doubt that it is enhanced their bottom line and help get the word out about them as a baseball club, as well as the love in New Mexico and beyond for green chili cheeseburgers.
Okay, I got to go on a little rant because that's the annoying thing that I do, and obviously it's going to happen when it comes to food. I'm in a neighboring state. Ordinarily, I'm like the most annoying, like, my state and my city are the coolest on earth, blah, 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 like as if I did something to warrant being born where I was born. But anyway, this is an interesting thing because New Mexico really is the birthplace of the green chili phenomenon, and I'm going to call out the city and state in which I live, Denver, Colorado, in that I feel like we have tried to co-opt that and claim that that's like our thing. And I'm going to go on record and say that it's not. Like, this is a full-on New Mexico thing that I'm very thankful has bled over the border and come north. But the way that somebody explained this to me as how passionate New Mexicans are about this is at McDonald's in New Mexico, you can get a green chili cheeseburger. It's like a special thing that McDonald's only does in New Mexico, apparently. But you can get one of those there. The only thing that confuses me about this, and this is my final point, but I don't know why they went with green chili cheeseburgers and not just green chilies, because there's a quote in here from John Traub, who is the general manager of the Albuquerque Isotopes, quote, "People here put green chili on everything," which is true, and B, the logo that Brandy O's came up with that's on the sleeve is of kind of the rotating grill drum that you use to grill the green chilies, to cook the green
roast
chilies.
Them.
The roast to green, that's the word I was looking for. That logo is fantastic. Not to take anything away from the green chili cheeseburger logo, but that logo is amazing. So I kind of wonder why, if you're a Topes employee, if you're John Traub, if you're Josh Suchon, the radio guy, let us know why you went cheeseburger route and not just green chilies. It fascinated me ever since then.
All right, well,
rant over.
Albuquerque Isotopes front office, you've been called out on the show before the show podcast.
And now I just
Tyler
really, really want a green chili cheeseburger, so that's probably going to happen today.
Right, so you still love them.
Oh, absolutely, I love them. It's like the difference between like 100% and 150% love.
An inferior one in the state of Colorado.
No, that is probably true. That is probably true. Sam, take it away.
Well, I was just going to ask, too, so this is only a one-off, right?
It is. Who knows?
Who
knows? It could easily return next year, and you never know. But, yes, this is the first time, and for 2017, it's just this one night.
Do you think that has more value as a one-off, or do you think, that they, seeing the success, like you said, them just being able to sell all the gear as they have up until this point, trying to always restock. Does it have more value as a one-off, or does it have more value when it is part of a series? Like if they were to do this every, third Friday of the month in 2018?
Well, I think if it is successful, then they might consider ramping it up the same way the Fresno Tacos were a one-time thing, followed the next year by a every Tuesday home game thing. But I think, when you're just testing these waters for the first time, like with anything in life, you probably do it conservatively to start, understand the process, see how it gets received in the community, get a gauge on what the demand is, and then proceed for the following season based on that knowledge. But you want to kind of start small and leave them wanting more, and then give them more when the time comes for more to be delivered.
It's big stuff. Do we have any other food item team conversions this year? Because I know there were a few last year that even flew a little bit under the radar. There was the slices at one time, correct? The Franks, Brooklyn turned into the Franks. And what's that? The
Scranton,
pierogies. Scranton Wilkes-Barre did the pierogies.
Yeah, the Reading whoopie pies.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, this year I believe we still have the Charlotte Pitmasters on the calendar,
Okay,
if I'm not
correct.
mistaken. Their barbecue, anthropomorphic, of course, their barbecue sandwich logo, where the Pitmasters, a big barbecue night in Charlotte. I believe that's still coming up. And then we also have the multi-team Chicago versus New York pizza contest of sorts, where Brooklyn, the Cyclones, will be representing New York-style pizza on August 4th. And they're changing their name. I think that's the Slices. And then
that sounds right.
Myrtle Beach Pelicans, a Chicago affiliate, will be representing Chicago.
I'm assuming they're going to call themselves the Casseroles because Chicago-style pizza is not pizza.
All right, man. Can you just like be positive for a second?
I take my pizza seriously, Ben.
It's deep dish. Casseroles if you want to be negative. But yeah, there's going to be they're not playing each other. They're in different leagues, obviously, but on the same day, the Cyclones and the Pelicans will kind of face off metaphorically in terms of which region has the best pizza. And we just heard what side Tyler is on. So, for whatever that is worth to you, the listener.
For your voting interests, if you care.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's pivot to a story you wrote this week about, or since we last talked, anyways, about somebody that I think is a really interesting character, a really good find you had on your trip to California. When you went to Lake Elsinore, you met up with Terrence Tucker, who is not only just the clubhouse manager, somebody who, if you ever work in baseball, you get to know them, especially if you're a player, especially if you a media member working in the clubhouse, you'll get to know these guys. But he's not only that, but he's also the director of community and player relations, which are two pretty difficult jobs that he's doing both at the same time for the Storm. What can you tell us about Terrence Tucker?
Well, when I'm on the road, I'm just always looking for stories. And I met Terrence during my time in Lake Elsinore and was immediately like, man, this guy seems real popular at the ballpark, real engaged, real great attitude, and he's got an interesting story. So I wrote about him. Check it out on MLB.com. But his break into baseball was one of his high school teachers also worked for the Padres, and now he's the full-time video coordinator. So one of his teachers got him a job as the Padres bat boy when he was 17. So that's a really cool job for a teenager to have. And he loved the clubhouse atmosphere so much that he decided that's what he wanted to do professionally, was work his way up through the ladder as a clubhouse manager with the goal of making it back to San Diego. Along the way, he got married, had kids. Clubhouse manager, especially in the minor leagues, is tough to raise a family on. Ended up in Lake Elsinore, and then in order to stay in Lake Elsinore, asked if he could be put on the sales staff and work in a more traditional front office role as well. So he's been juggling those two things. I mean, he does have a clubhouse staff, so those two things can be juggled, but he's got these unique dual roles in minor league baseball. This guy who was a teenager, just happened to be a bat boy, and now over a decade later is making a career out of it, and he still wants to make it back to San Diego someday as the clubhouse manager. So interesting story for Terrence Tucker, and just kind of shows how, like any career, a career in baseball can be long and winding and not what you expect, but it's cool to talk to those people who've made it work in unorthodox situations. And it's just a cool story. He, the Padres made it to the NLDS in 2005 and 2006 when Terrence was there, and he got voted into the playoff shares, and he put himself through college with playoff share money from his time as a bat boy. With the San Diego Padres, and he said guys like Trevor Hoffman and Greg Maddux were real instrumental in that, because the veterans realize the value in how far that money goes for clubhouse personnel and the people behind the scenes. So it's just a really cool story overall.
He said that he saw tips between $1,000 and $20,000 for major league guys when he was in the big leagues. And this is actually a point of discussion because in the most recent collective bargaining agreement, there was a reduction in the amount of per diem money that major league players get on the road, and that kind of factored into a concept among clubhouse personnel that they felt like that was going to translate into less tips and less money for visiting clubhouse workers. I haven't actually heard a whole lot about that since then. I think players have kind of figured out a way to make sure that it was going to stay about the same for those guys, because they make a ton of that money based on tips, and that is not an easy job. And Ben, you've gotten to tell a lot of these stories over the years about some of these more unheralded roles at the ballpark. The feedback that you get now versus maybe the first few times that you wrote stories about clubbies or groundskeepers or those types of people, do you think it's a kind of a continuing education? It seems like whenever we talk about stuff like this, people say, I never knew that much went into this job, fill in the blank.
Yeah, and that's what I I'm always trying to do with this job and with the writing I do is to shine a light on aspects of the professional baseball life that are behind the scenes and that don't really get too much attention. And that's certainly the case with clubhouse managers in general, guys like Terrence specifically. And I was telling Sam before we went on the air, because I actually talked to Sam before we went on the air, that this particular story did well on Twitter with a lot of players, particularly in the Padres organization, liking it and retweeting it, and kind of interesting to strike a chord with them, probably because they see a guy like Terrence every day, appreciate what he does, and kind of want to increase the glare when he's in the spotlight momentarily through this article.
So you can check that out on the site. It's at MILB.com right now. Benjamin Hill, who is the tip of the spear with the coolest edition of Topps baseball cards in 2017. The 2017 Topps Pro debut set was released on May 24th, and it contains a 15-card Ben's Biz insert set. The 10th edition of the 15-part blog series on each card is up at bensbiz.mlblogs.com, and this is one that I really was excited to talk about because it is the Jamestown John. And take it away.
Yeah, I keep writing and blogging about these baseball cards. I'll do an individual post until all 15 are highlighted. Certainly one of my favorite in the set is number 10. It's the press box at Russell Dietrich Park, former home of the Jamestown Jammers, and technically still the home of the Jamestown Jammers, who are now not an affiliated team, but a team named the Jammers still plays there. But anyway, when I visited the Jammers in 2014, when they were still in the New York Penn League, their final season, I went up to the press box and was shown the toilet in the press box. And this is an old press box, old stadium, just an old wooden press box. And there's a toilet in the press box that has a window that directly opens up onto the field, which is just about eye level of where you'd be when you're using the toilet. So the picture I took has the window open, the field visible, and this toilet there. And so I always loved that picture. I included it in my blog post at the time. I retweeted it years later, and it got a lot of attention. I just always thought it was funny and cool what a unique toilet this was. And so I submitted it as one of the potential cards for the Ben's Biz insert set. And thanks to Topps for saying this is a good idea. A toilet has its own baseball card. And for me to be instrumental in giving what I believe is the first baseball card to a toilet ever is something I'm really proud of, and definitely a career highlight. So you can check it out. The 2017 Topps Pro debut set includes the Jamestown John card. And I don't know how you get that one autographed, but you should definitely check it out if you're a fan of toilets, baseball, or the intersection of the two.
It's a big demographic.
It is.
Benjamin Hill is on Twitter. He's at Ben's Biz there. There are 5 more blog posts to come in the outlining the unique cards that you'll find in the 2017 Topps Pro debut set, 15-card Ben's Biz insert set. And you can check out the first 10 blog posts, including the Jamestown John. Again, a difficult autograph, but a heck of a view of a baseball game. Have you heard from anybody from the new Jamestown? The Jammers, like you said, no longer there. There is a Jamestown Jammers team that is there. It's not an affiliated minor league team. Have you heard from anybody in Jamestown since this came out?
Not specifically with the team, but I hope they are happy that their toilet has been immortalized in such fashion. It's amazing. Someone might be using it right now while looking at the card. A very meta experience.
That would be.
So you never know. But that toilet lives on. That ballpark lives on. Unfortunately, it does not host a affiliated minor league team anymore. But if you're ever in Jamestown, visit the stadium. Maybe ask to visit the press box, and you can see what is, I think, the best toilet in all of baseball.
It's like an Easter egg in a video game, but it's real life. Go find the press box toilet in Jamestown, New York. Ben, thanks.
Thank you, Tyler. And thank you, Sam.
Oh, yeah. Good job, Sam.
Sure. Yeah.
Big thanks to Jo Adell and a big thanks to Benjamin Hill for joining episode 114 of the show before the show. And that'll just about do it. MILB.TV is the best place to catch the best and brightest of minor league baseball. Short season ball is just days away. You can get your subscription now at MILB.com. And Sam, tell us about what you're watching on MILB TV this week.
Yeah, so we did tease that it is All-Star game season. And one of the games that will be on MILB TV next week on June 20th will be the Midwest League All-Star game. which will be held at the Dow Diamond in Midland, Michigan, which you might know is the home of the Great Lakes Loons. The reason why I take this is because, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette are combining forces once again. They will be in attendance representing the Lansing Lugnuts in the East Division on that team. Obviously, it's been a really, really impressive season for both of them. I think Bichette has been particularly impressive, but also, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. playing, his high school senior season in the Midwest League is fascinating. And the fact that they are both all-stars this quickly is really, really interesting, but also that Dylan Cease will be in that game, a couple other big names. So this is your opportunity to see an all-star game on MILB.TV. It is that season, Midwest League. If you want to get a chance to see two of the best hitting prospects, not only in that league, but I think in all of minor league baseball, regardless of level, those two have been some of the most exciting at-bats that I've seen this year. You will get to see them against the best talent in their own circuit. So tune in next Tuesday to watch the Midwest League All-Star Game. That's it for me. What about for you, Tyler?
Sam goes with good prospect analysis and the type of intellectual conversation that you've come to know and love and expect from Sam. I'm going to go with the uniforms. The Green Chile Cheeseburgers take the field on Friday against the Tacos in Albuquerque. And being the weirdo uniform and logo lover that I am, that's what I will be watching, not in a baseball sense, but more in just I'm really hungry and I want to eat both of those things sense. And I love the weird uniform matchups in minor league baseball. Last week, it was the Salt Lake Gulls who played host to the Albuquerque Dukes. And I may have actually picked that as my MLB TV game last week as well. So maybe we're on a 2-for-2 run and me just giving you no actual analysis, but just, hey, pretty colors and shapes and things and certain orders that I like.
Well,
but
listen,
hey, man, I'm down with it.
Yeah, no, listen, that is a part of the minor league landscape. That's the reason why we bring on Ben every week. And, MLB.TV, you don't just need to watch it for the baseball. You get to watch how some of these pretty uniforms work in action. So, yeah, if the opportunity presents itself, you might as well take it.
I agree. I also would like to plug once more that Ben pointed out that the New Mexico Tourism Board has a Green Chile Cheeseburger trail on its website. And they also, in addition to that, have a breakfast burrito byway. So there's a good chance that I just will, like at the end of The Sandlot, they talk about how Bertram got really into the 60s and no one ever saw him again. There's a chance that maybe I'll just get into that with New Mexico food and you'll never hear from me again. A lot of people would be really happy about that, but I would, I'd probably explode pretty instantly from all the green chili, but I'd be fine with it.
I mean, if you want to do something like Fear and Loathing in New Mexico, but just strictly with breakfast burritos.
Rather than drugs, it's just breakfast burritos and green chili.
Yeah,
I
will be your attorney in that situation.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah. I'm totally in for that. Before we go, actually, there's one thing I wanted to say before we wrap up here. I feel like we were really tough on you this week, so I want to leave it on a much nicer note than that. Like we were ripping you for most of that, Belmont stuff, just me and Ben between texts and stuff. But we're grateful you're here, Tyler.
That's fine.
I want you to know that.
You guys don't know what Josh Jackson and I say about you behind your backs, so
that's true.
That's true.
When you guys have the West Coast,
that's what the Slack channel is all about. And you should have heard Ben today. No, we love you. We love you both. We love all of you, and we all love each other. And that'll do it for episode number 114 of the Show Before the Show podcast. Again, thanks for tuning in wherever you are. We're at MILB.com/podcast. We're on iTunes. We're on the Stitcher app. And give us a rating and a review and a subscription if you would be so kind. And with that, we will put the finishing touches on this one as I search futilely to find the name of the 114th pick in the draft that I have already forgotten. And my computer will not load. Brendan Murphy was his name, the left-hander from Illinois. Sorry, Brendan. We'll know your name. We'll know your name, man. We believe
Sorry, and also you're welcome for being mentioned.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
For giving you a plug.
Episode 114 in the books. We'll talk to you next week.